everybody. Good morning and welcome to Monday Morning Quarters Back. My name is UltraDavid. We're going to be looking at some matches from over the past weekend and analyzing them as we typically do here from the field of California Memorial Stadium. Thanks a lot for hanging out with us. So we're going to be looking, like I said, back at matches from this past weekend. That, of course, means that it will be the CPT Online NA East. That's what we'll be taking a gander at here. And there was a lot of great stuff, a lot of great action in this top 8, and even in the top 16 from over the past weekend. A lot of things that I think are very worthy of taking a look at. There was a lot of great fighting game action. There were a lot of great decisions, interesting character usage in some instances, especially in the top 16. What I think that we should focus on, at least for now, maybe there's going to be more to look at in the future because there really was a lot of good stuff. Very curious about how people deal with strong reactions-based players. To me, that is something that has always been fascinating. Some people have gifted reactions, and that's both because they have trained for it and because in some cases they're just innately faster when it comes to that sort of stuff. They use those reactions to sort of shut down things that may be typically mix-ups, may, for many other people, maybe for most other people, be things that are not guarantees. But reactions-based players, strong reactions-based players, can take things that are typically solid or typically mix-ups and kind of negate them. How do you deal with that as the opponents? Those reactions-based players don't win everything. How do they not win everything, right, if they have such fantastic reactions? What is it that they do? So we're going to be taking a look at primarily CJ Truth's reactions, because in this top 8, he had some fantastic ones, and he used them consistently, and he used them very well, and they were clearly difficult to deal with. So what we will be doing is looking first at NuckleDu versus Danslip, and this is Guile versus Cammy. We're going to sort of use it as a baseline of what is it that NuckleDu does typically against a Cammy player. Now, Danslip's a very unique Cammy player, just in the same way that CJ is a really unique Cammy player with his reactions. Danslip uses tools that you just typically don't tend to see. And so his, the style that NuckleDu played against him is maybe not what we would always see him use against a Cammy player, but nevertheless, we'll try to use that as sort of the baseline. And then we'll take a look at Du versus CJ Truth and see what the change was. How did CJ's reactions force NuckleDu to change his playstyle? And did NuckleDu figure out a way around them? Then lastly, we'll take a look at how Shine dealt with CJ Truth in Losers Finals. CJ still had those fantastic reactions. What was it? How did Shine get around those? What did he do? What was the game plan? I'm telling you, there's a lot of stuff to look at from this past weekend, and just looking at Smug's matches is very worth it, of course. I really feel like there's like many different takes that you could have on this past weekend's top 8 because the matches were so strong. Again, maybe we'll do that in the future. But for now, this is the take that we want to do. I also want to say, before we send it upstairs, that I thought St. Cola did a great job on commentary. He was really nervous before we got started. This is his first time commentating for the Capcom Pro Tour. He's been commentating, but it feels different to be commentating something on the Capcom Pro Tour. And I thought, handled it quite well. So shout outs to him, as I said on the broadcast. And it was cool for me to be back commentating on the CPT. I hadn't done it yet this year. I thought that was a lot of fun. All right, so, and thanks a lot to everybody for the nice words. Appreciate that. Alrighty, well, let's send it upstairs to UltraDavid, who's going to have the analysis for today. Hey, alright, thanks a lot, David. Appreciate the toss here. Like David said downstairs, we're going to be taking a look first at the match between NuckleDu and Danslip. And this is a match that we're going to try to use to sort of understand what NuckleDu likes to do in this Guile versus Cammy matchup. How does he play it? What kind of buttons does he use? What options does he use? Where does he use them? And then we'll be contrasting that with his play against CJ Truth. Sound good? All right, let's head into the match without further delay. Here in California Memorial Stadium, where we are watching again that top 8. Let me know how the audio is on this. Hopefully, UltraDavid and St. Cola here aren't going to be too loud in your ears, but let me know.
That's history. Let's see what's in the present, people. NuckleDu versus Danslip, loser side. Only one can survive.
This was before I zoomed in as well. Okay, so look, what I think we're going to be doing for this pass through is mostly just watching and kind of maybe not replaying so much, maybe not rewinding so much, just kind of trying to get a bead on where NuckleDu likes to be, where does he like to throw booms, where does he like to press buttons, when does he look for anti-airs, all that sort of stuff.
Going with the character that can control the screen. By the way, this is the character that he tried versus CJ, and it mostly worked, you know?
Yeah, and this is, I should say as well, this is in top 8 in loser's side, and Du's here because he lost to CJ Truth in the winner's side top 16. Okay, so there's a boom. It's an EX right through it, right? Danslip, like I said, Danslip's a strong player. He plays so unusually that I think sometimes people give him short shrift, but he's strong. He's got a lot of great reactions and fundamentals, even if he likes to use some different tools than many other people. You know, maybe a different combo route there. I might have taken it for him.
Double jump, uh-oh. Du finds the activation. He's got a lot of bar.
So you see, did you see that range right there where Du did it from? Wow, sick. Yeah, I mean, shout out to Danslip. He plays so interestingly. He plays so interestingly, so uniquely.
I get it. What's there? DP Tartar out here.
So we've already seen Danslip react at about that half screen range. You know, let me.
Danslip, he pushed NuckleDu in the one.
Oh, we'll maybe wait until the end of the round, but I'll pause it and show kind of where it was that Danslip was reacting. Wow, that I remember being so impressed with that from yesterday as well. Stand fierce at that range. After back throw, Cammy does not get free pressure. Lots of people like to press buttons in that situation, and Danslip blew it up. Super smart.
Activation.
It's probably supposed to have been air throw there.
Another corner, by the way, with his own super.
Make it happen.
Great blocks. Du still here.
A lot of offensive pressure here from NuckleDu. That's something that he's always been strong at. So let's briefly go back to where we saw that EX. This was in round number 1, maybe about a third of the way through, I would say. Maybe a little less than that. Let's just start it off here. Yeah, EX is available. All right, so was it right here? 29 seconds? Not quite. Here it was. All right, so where was Cammy? Let's get the little tool out here. Let's draw it. So here we go. It's about this distance. Oh, a little bit further. My bad. That was not the right one. Let's add a little bit longer. There you go. It's, you know, more or less correct. EX is through. All right, cool. Let's keep that in mind. I'm just going to save that spot right there. We're going to take a look later on. So let's go now to the final round in this. We were just there. Yep, started off.
I'm still thinking about that back throw immediately into stand fierce against what I think was stand medium kick from Guile. That was amazing.
That was CJ Truth who sent NuckleDu to losers. Same character matchup here. So Du throwing a bunch of fireballs outside of that range. Again, take a look at it. This is the range right here where we saw already the reaction by Danslip. At this range, Du doing nothing. Keep an eye on that spot.
It felt like in the last couple of rounds, Danslip.
Closer in, booms, sure. At almost that exactly precise range, Du began throwing, yep, stand medium punch to hopefully bait something. Look at that consistency with that spot on screen.
He's definitely paying attention. You got time to do the air throw for sure.
Watch him the land, sea, and the skies.
Okay.
Interrupted on the boom, though. Danslip got featured, and now it's all gone.
Yeah, Danslip ends up taking a game. I don't remember if it was the first one or if it was the second one, but
And I agree.
it was not a clean sweep by NuckleDu, not by any sense.
With nothing as the anti-air. Hoping again with that stand fierce.
Wow, he
Knocked
checked
down.
the EX.
Hold on.
Too far, that sucks. Okay, so not the first one that Danslip took. I guess that must have been the second game. So yeah, we saw that space on screen where Danslip did show that he had the reactions. And then after that, pretty consistently, it looked like NuckleDu was playing around it. Sure, he was at that range sometimes, but when he was at that range, he would press stand strong to hopefully bait his opponent into doing something. He didn't very often throw sonic booms, a couple of times there, but pretty rarely. Other than that, he was throwing booms from closer in, or he was farther away, or he was doing EX, which is really hard to react to on time. Yeah, you were close, dude. It's all good. It was funny. Like, I think there's a lot of value on commentary at just, I don't know, doing, like, being interesting, being funny, even if it's not in what you say, but, you know, you can do physical gags, too, so I thought it was cool, even if not intentional. There's that spot. That's basically that spot, isn't it? Look at where he's throwing those booms. Yeah, he just threw a few booms at that spot that we have identified here as being the spot where Danslip already reacted once.
There's got to be more. You know, he's got to be able to get that rhythm going that he wants with Cammy, right? But it's hard. We've seen the anti-airs, we've seen the damage on the deck early in the round, and he just hangs out.
That combo was ridiculous. Stand short. I'm always impressed when people do stand short into down charge moves. I do it with Honda. I do stand short into EX sometimes. I feel like if you're a player who plays Guile or Urien or Honda or Chun-Li, like, you have to have that on deck at highest level.
He needs this right here. Put the wake up, the All-American EX. Look, super strong.
Throwing outside of that range now. Oh, that was inside the range? Okay, we'll have to highlight that again. Go back. Oh, that could have been a link for the round. Okay. So, backwards just a little bit here. Okay, yeah, there it was. Let's bring back our handy-dandy reaction line and see where it was when this boom occurred. I think it's like right here, right? Okay, boom. Oh, this is not it. Okay. A little further. Oh, yeah. No. A little further. No. It's one of these, I tell you. Oh, he tried it probably right there. Tried it again. Okay, so this is pretty much exactly the same spot. This is actually maybe a little bit further away that Danslip now reacts. After just having tried. He tried. So he took some chip damage from these booms here. If we can back up slightly with that yellow line still there. So he takes chip, gets hit. That's a little bit of damage. Now, if you look at the damage that does to Do, it's not actually that much. There's not a lot of damage on far away EX drill. That's probably less than Do just did, making Danslip block, get hit. So, okay. And she always crosses up afterwards. So if Do is in the corner, this actually gives him out of the corner. Now, I mean, he's got to continue to make good defensive choices after that. But that's something I think to keep in mind as well as we watch this and then the CJ Truth set, is that getting hit, if you throw a boom and she does EX drill and you were cornered, now you're out of the corner. Maybe not the worst thing in the world. Yeah, his jump timings are really unorthodox. Especially in this round, in this game, I should say. He had that double jump earlier. That was pretty... I'm not sure impressive is the right word, but a good read for sure. Like, people tell you not to jump, but some characters gotta jump, for sure. Just a question of when. Yeah, okay. Dan Slippington, what a name. Oh yeah, so I guess I forgot about this in the moment, but when we started commentary, before we started commentary, St. Cola was like, oh man, today I'm not wearing the button-up shirt and you're wearing the full button-up collar shirt with it completely buttoned. And I was like, I'm not planning to keep it buttoned. I'm actually planning to unbutton it. I just want to like keep it so that the collar looks straight beforehand so that it's not going to be all weird after I unbutton it. You know, that happens with collars sometimes. And then I totally forgot to unbutton it. So shout outs to me. I mean to UltraDavid here, who was doing the commentary at the time. Alright, so keep attention on this spot right here. With no meter, you're seeing Do harass a lot at that range. A lot. This is, well, that's a little bit further in, but he was definitely throwing booms at that same spot where with EX, Danslip can react. And now that Danslip has EX, you see him playing at that spot, and Do knows it. Wow, okay. Now, there's a range where it can be fine. That's something about drills in general. It's not, like, advisable, maybe, but it is, like, a far slide.
There is EX meter, though, and that's exactly what you use.
Yeah. Danslip maybe getting a little bit too impatient on the jump. EX Spiral, I'm looking it up. It can be actually +1. That's wild. At maximum distance. Maximum meaty. Oh, that was flash kick for sure. And probably would have been blocked, it looked like. Wow, Du. So Du is not even really playing with the reaction game right now. You see a lot more just offense out of him, straight up pressure. He did throw booms sometimes. One time Danslip took the bait and did EX when it wasn't actually a boom. And although it's not punishable at that range, at max range, you also don't want to use up an EX. You're probably not going to be +1 there. Like I said, there's that range at maximum distance. That's pretty rare. In general, you're probably going to be slightly minus. And you just probably don't want to put yourself there, you know, and especially just spending a bar to do it. So Du now has seen that Danslip has, wow, super great start. I love that after having booms for so long. And like I said, it was the offense that did a lot of work for him. I really like seeing Du hold on to this spot on screen that is about within here. It's like a little bit inside of this spot a lot of the time where he can pretty safely throw booms. Ooh, okay, just as I said it, Danslip's there. We'll have to go back and look at the exact range on that, but it looked like it was about exactly the same spot, right? Dang, point blank boom. At this point, this stuff's pretty tough to get through. The recovery on baby boom is so fast. I feel like that was, like, that's the kind of jump that you kind of have to do in games that have chip damage. Not that he was about to die, even if there were chip damage in this game. But that's like the situation that you would trap somebody in. And you see that so rarely in this game. Playing around that spot. Keep an eye on that spot. Okay, now the jump comes, but that spot, okay. Keep an eye on this spot. Threw it, then tried to bait it with the stand strong. That's something Du's so good at, is paying attention to that spot on screen. Oh no, that's missed dive kick, certainly. Baiting it yet again with that stand strong, just hoping to convince the opponent that, oh boy, that's it, yeah, okay, cool. So Du did a pretty good job. He did get drilled in on a couple of times at this spot, you know, this distance more or less. What would you describe this as? This is about a half screen, maybe. Maybe this is a little bit less than a half screen. There was a range that was maybe just outside of it that we saw Danslip get an EX in on one time. But in general, Du did a great job. He threw booms from within this range here, or from without the range. So, you know, at a range where EX drill just wouldn't connect. He threw EX booms from this spot because those are really fast and it's hard to get through them. But he did in general a great job. He only got EX drilled a couple of times. Right? So that's Du dealing with Danslip Cammy. Again, a pretty unusual Cammy player in some ways. A player who uses tools that you just don't tend to see very often from Cammy players at the highest level. And Danslip's up there. I mean, he's made top 8s. He's made deep runs in many majors. I don't know exactly how many, but, you know, many majors at this point over the last several years. So, I mean, he's a strong player, but he does use these different tools. Hooligan, V-skill, he jumps more. I mean, he uses different buttons sometimes than you typically see Cammy players use. He's a very unique Cammy player. So I don't think that this is an example of Du's sort of baseline anti-Cammy strategy that he would use if somebody was like a very traditional Cammy player without the incredible reactions of CJ Truth. If you're just like a strong, fundamentally sound Cammy player, you're not doing tricks, you don't have fantastic reactions, this is probably not the same gameplay that we would see. But I still think that it's pretty useful as a baseline for seeing where it seems that Du is throwing booms, is pressing buttons, is trying to bait an EX reaction. I think there was a lot of useful stuff that we could see in that match. Let's pause that. Next one coming up. That was in top 8, yeah. That was top 8 right there. Danslip's a good player. He just does things that you tend not to see. I love it about him. I mean, I think that's so cool when people really make their mark on a character in that way. Very, very interesting stuff. So now we're gonna switch over to NuckleDu versus CJ Truth. This is losers semis, I think, something like that. I believe it is actually. And so this is what, for 4th, I guess, 4th or 3rd, or minimum 3rd. So now CJ versus NuckleDu. Again, CJ is the player who sent NuckleDu into losers in the first place in the top 16. That was a 2-1. And there were back and forth moments in there, but the ultimate killer was that CJ did do EX dive through booms and even did a super through an EX boom, or through a regular boom, I should say. So CJ has reactions. Everybody knows this about him. These two players have played who even knows how many times. They both live in Florida. I'm sure it's a matchup that's happened a lot, offline and online. They both know each other well. So in this match, CJ and NuckleDu now has to play against a Cammy player who is more traditional, definitely, much more grounded, much more reactive, of course. That's really what we want to be looking at here. I definitely agree with you, Serge. I love it when people find uses for tools that are considered not very strong. In fact, part of why things like that can be useful is that the opponent is just so unaccustomed to dealing with them that when they do see it, the way to deal with it is not as immediately in their mind. When you go into a fighting game match, you have to have in mind, what are my opponent's potential tools at whatever range and whatever timing? What could come up? What's likely to come up? Maybe is a better way to put this. And then you can apply your reactions to that. Well, if the opponent does something completely out of left field, then it's pretty tough to react in those instances. And so things like Cammy V skill, which are really long in startup, what is it? I got the frame data right here. I might as well say it is 35 frame startup on V skill number 1. Pretty slow, but it's just so unusual that when it happens once in a blue moon, you know, it's not as commonly knocked down. Same thing with hooligan grab, even you just don't see it very often, and you may know what to do, but the question is it on the top of your brain? Can you access that file immediately enough? So let's get into this match. We'll go back into the game here. I have now zoomed myself in. So let's see how it goes with Du versus CJ. First of all, let's bring back this spot on screen and keep this one in mind. Keep that spot right there in mind. There's no EX meter yet for CJ, so that's not going to be useful quite yet for him. But as soon as that's on deck, you know, pay attention to it. EX is there. Let's bring it back on screen. Come on. I mean, that was so fast. So fast. As soon as he had EX, he was in there. Now, that said, NuckleDu's got a big life lead here, right? He's pestering. Okay. So let's talk a little bit about this round. Go back here. Because this round is part of what I want to talk about in terms of how to deal with players who have great reactions. Let's begin it. So before there's EX meter, NuckleDu can try things out. He can throw booms without worrying about it too much. I mean, he's got to be worried about a jump over, but there's a range where even that's not going to be a possibility. So he's not super worried about it. As soon as there's an EX meter, as soon as this happens, okay, he backs off to almost exactly the spot we were talking about before. CJ. Yep, I mean, this is, if you move the line, but a little bit to the right, this is almost exactly the same range that we were talking about previously. And immediately getting through there is CJ. Very, very fast. Now, that does mean that there's no more EX for CJ. So when I saw this live, my first feeling was, is that actually okay for NuckleDu? Does he just sort of get rid of that? Right, and then walks up for the grab with the little offense, a little burst of offense. One way to deal with reactions is something that NuckleDu may have been doing here. I haven't talked with him about it. But this is something that I've done in some instances, other people I know have done in some instances, is just let them do it. Let them do the thing. Because if they immediately use their tool, they don't have it anymore. That's trite to say, I guess, right? They did the thing, so they don't have it anymore. Isn't that bad? Maybe. It could be bad. It certainly could be bad if their thing is very damaging, if their thing gives them great pressure, if it gives them the corner, whatever, right? Then maybe that sucks. If it doesn't do those things, maybe it's not that big of a deal. And her EX drill loses the corner for her, doesn't do a tremendous amount of damage, means that she just doesn't have it anymore. Maybe NuckleDu can just throw booms with impunity now, or pressure, or walk in the way that he did to end this round. So now, because there's no EX here, NuckleDu, oh, I just should let it play. NuckleDu is already doing the thing, right? He's already throwing the booms here. But now there is an EX, and let's bring this line back up. And I actually can't believe I nailed it in timing right there, but that was instant. And immediately now, NuckleDu goes back and tries to play the game plan that he wants. You know, here's CJ, right? Knocking him down a few times. All right, let's bring this guy back. I mean, come on. In fact, that was actually, we'll go back and look at that, but that was actually inside of that range. So we saw the stand medium punch to whiff, or beta whiff, I should say. Oh, wow, he forgot about that. I forgot that he missed it there. That sucks. So I feel like he probably activated there and then threw. That was that 3 times in one round that we saw this? So let's go back. Let's go back. And just rewatch this. And we're gonna have this up the whole time. And let's see where CJ is as he does these drills through. Immediately. Let's go back slightly here and find this moment of start. It was about here. Yeah, this is basically that same spot. It might be slightly inside of that same spot that we've been talking about, this yellow line here. Okay, so 1. Now, keep in mind, CJ now doesn't have EX meter. If NuckleDu takes a grab here, they'll be about even in life. CJ will lose pressure, and that will be at a spot where Guile can control better. So when I was watching this live the first time through, at least at the beginning of it, I was thinking maybe Dude's just okay with this. Maybe he's okay with CJ just spending EX meter. Yes, he gets a chance for pressure, but, you know, the classic advice is take the throw against Cammy mid-screen, and she just doesn't get anything after that, and maybe Dude feels like, okay, I can take an EX, I can take a grab, I'll still be even in life, and I'll be back at a range where I am comfortable, and you won't have EX bar anymore. Maybe that is a way that some people deal with reactions type players who have good reactive moves. This was super impressive to me. So there's a range here. Let's watch as Cammy jumps in. So jumps over at just the right moment. So far jump roundhouse. This is too far for any of her cancelable buttons to then connect. So CJ instead goes directly, he confirms this single jump roundhouse, probably, you know, in part by seeing the boom that he jumped over, of course. But then he immediately does spiral arrow, and that's a 7-frame option. That drill is super fast. You don't have to cancel into drill for this kind of thing to work. You can just get the drill and then you get immediate pressure. So I love that. Something we saw him do a couple of times. All right, the yellow line reappears. We're talking about it instantly again. Now, Dude does not have the life lead at this point, but this is maybe what he was going for, right? I don't know, maybe. I don't want to say that this is for sure what was happening. But if he was doing it, he's now back at this kind of neutral position. Well, you got to think that that was probably not what he wanted. Maybe hoping that CJ would walk forward so he could get the first hit of sweep, activate, that kind of thing. But that range is certainly more comfortable for him. Yeah, and then this was a drop. What happened? I don't know. Yeah, just whatever it was. Missed combo, I guess. So now, what I think this was about, this activation here, I assume, is CJ seeing the boom, activating, and maybe he could have done drill here as well. V-trigger drill is 7-frame startup as well. And, you know, it's got invulnerability, of course. It's not instantly projectile invul. It is projectile invul at frame 5. So not first frame like EX is. But, I mean, with a reaction like CJ has, maybe, so that may be what he was doing here. But he may also just be taking that opportunity to activate so that on the next boom, he can bring this in instead. Maybe. Right? Again, here's that range. This is almost exactly the spot. Oh, right, activation. Walks up and blocks. He's now at a spot where he, I mean, that's just exactly the same spot that we've been identifying. If you were to, okay, walk up, block, walk up. This is that spot, right? Block, comes again. I mean, it's exactly the same spot on screen. So CJ now has reacted with what, 4 or 5 drills through? Something like that. And one thing that I really like about how CJ deals with this as well is that he puts himself in the right spot for it. So it's not just enough to have great reactions and tools with a character who can let you show that. It's also that you have to be in the right spot at the right time. And so this movement by CJ might not look like much, but this is him walking up and blocking. And now after having blocked in that spot, he will be pushed back to this exact spot on screen where he can do the reaction. He uses the block stun, the pushback of the boom to put himself into the right spot so that if there's another boom, he can react and get through. So we're already seeing so much by CJ in terms of how he uses his own reactions, where he puts himself to make them count. And he now has 2 EXs. And so if NuckleDu's idea is to get rid of an EX bar, it's not going to really work right here, right? So he has 2 bars to contend with. Making CJ use 1 is going to just mean he just has another. And so you actually don't see him throwing regular booms at that range anymore. Which I think kind of lends credence to the idea that that is what he was doing before. Well, okay. By the way, that was when there was only 1 EX bar. Maybe that was, again, part of the calculation here. Maybe make CJ use it. I don't know. Okay, to get through EX is actually ridiculous. We're going to have to go back and look at that. There's another EX. That was that danger zone. This is, look at that where CJ is. He is at that spot, 100%. And so now with the life lead, if there was an idea on NuckleDu's side to just get CJ to spend the bar, there's no reason now for CJ to do anything but. I mean, he's got a life lead. He has an advantage. Okay. And there it is, right? And no cancel. That could have been the round right away. That could have been the game right away. And now he goes back to that spot. And now with a big life lead, and already obviously has the ability to drill through in this situation, NuckleDu needs to get in. There's no throwing of booms here. He can't do it. He has to get in.
He will not have much time at all,
Yeah.
and it's not gonna
Yeah. Wow. So let's go back to where there was an EX boom and an EX through, because that is really tough. That's really tough. Keeping an eye on this EX, I'm sorry, on the yellow line here. EX line, because it's yellow. Yeah, that's what Du wants. He wants that EX boom to just push the opponent back. I mean, he wants it to hit, obviously, but... Okay, so 1. Now, That boom came at that range once there was only one EX bar on CJ's side. He's almost got two, but maybe if Dude's just looking at this very quickly, he just sees that one's flashing. Okay, so now here's the grab, and again, this puts him at a spot where I would typically think that Guile can react. I'm sorry, that Guile can control space, but against these reactions by CJ, it almost looks like this is bad. This is bad for Guile. It's weird. So here now, is this the EX? Yes, EX. Amazing. That's so fast. Let's do this frame by frame here. All right, cool. So they are now outside of that range just slightly. Here comes CJ though, walking up into that spot. He's waiting. He sees it. And my VLC can't even handle how fast this decision is. Look at that. Look at that. I don't know how many frames that is that you need to react, but it's not many. It's not many. Okay. Well, I don't know. Maybe this is 5. Who knows? 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. I mean, come on. That's incredible. Incredible. Yeah, exactly right. It's hard to walk and block an EX boom. It's hard to do that offline. And CJ here is getting through with an EX of his own on the internet. I mean, come on. Come on.
Again, now that does give up the corner, but he's just like that jumped over. He was waiting to see whether there was not going to be a.
So CJ has made that range killer for NuckleDu. There's no baiting. NuckleDu's not even trying it. He knows that he needs to make a comeback, and if he throws a boom, it's just going to be CJ getting a chance for pressure. If he gets the grab, it's not in a spot where maybe versus some other Cammy player you could think, oh, Guile controls the spot. No, CJ has trigger, could get through another one. Why not? There it is, right? So CJ could have killed right there already, but now he has V-trigger and he backs off to that spot. How often do you see a Cammy player who just did, what was the pressure tool here? Right? Okay, first of all, right, could have canceled. Now he does. He tries stand strong, stand fierce. Rather than doing anything else up close, trying to get back in, he backs off and then walks in for the grab because he knows now that Du is frozen at that spot. Du can't throw a boom because there's going to be a drill. So Du is flummoxed at that spot, allowing CJ to walk in for the grab. This is such textbook usage of strong reactions. Sometimes strong reactions are things that the opponents can exploit. And I feel like that was part of maybe the idea on NuckleDu's side at the beginning of this match. And it's just absolutely failing him.
The risk. There's too many risks. I feel like they're adding up too much for Du.
Yeah, it is. It is sick. I mean, maybe you can do it. Not many of us can do that. EX drill on reaction to an EX boom on the internet. You know, that's amazing. In my view, that is amazing. All right.
The EX brown arrows are not only taking the damage, but putting CJ troops in positions where he's making 2 deep damage, and then by the time he gets out, he's like, oh, I've lost quarter of my health that he might have needed later on in the match. So if you're Du, you gotta look at the position for.
Yeah, pretty tough to do.
He's gonna react. He's proven it over and over again. There's no reason to maybe put myself in
All right.
Even put yourself in the corner to jump out.
So now with no EX, with no V-trigger, this is a range where Guile can control, just like you're seeing.
Never mind.
It's funny, I said that on commentary too, and I forgot even in this moment that he used DP to actually get through. I mean, reactions like that are just really, really tough to deal with. Really tough. Ah, you gotta think that was supposed to have been a drill, so CJ did get hit. Now, this is inside that range. I'm not sure even CJ can react at that spot. The thing is that for Guile, he needs to walk into that range or hope that CJ does it for him. So it's hard to walk up and then do a boom. You know, the game doesn't work like that. So if you're gonna continually walk in, you're not gonna have access to booms as often, but Cammy can just walk backwards as well. and kind of reset that situation.
It's now on CJ to make some kind of damage happen.
Activation. About those moves.
Wow.
Oh, okay.
That was really close. So in that round, we saw a lot more closer play. You know, there's a lot more of Du in here, but it's not just because of Du doing that. I think the attempt is, oh, maybe it's already behind us. Oh yeah, okay, that was it, surely. Counter hit. CJ actually moves in. And this is a round where he does that, and it's, you know, not effective as much. This is the spot where NuckleDu does want to control. If instead CJ were slightly behind where he is right now, maybe he could react with a drill. Maybe NuckleDu wouldn't throw a boom there though. You know, probably not. All right, let's go on to the next round. Oh, a little bit too late. Roundhouse DP is projectile invul, man. That's amazing, amazing. So keep in mind that Guile doesn't just have sonic booms, he's got great buttons. Yeah, I mentioned this on commentary, but that was an intended bait that stands strong. What Du is hoping to get is for, yeah, exactly this situation to happen. He just didn't block the first time, for whatever reason. So now we're seeing a lot more intended baits. Buttons that CJ, in his attempt to react too fast to, may think are booms, but in fact they're just standing strongs. So this is another classic way to deal with somebody who has excellent reactions. If they're trying to react to something, make them not only react to your character doing a thing, but also make them react to the difference between two similar-ish looking tools. They don't even have to be identical looking. They can be similar-ish. So this is, I believe, the game here. Nope, not quite, my bad. There it is. Think about this game. In this game, CJ did get baited a couple of times. We saw more stand strongs. In the first round, we saw CJ actually moving into the range where he could not react to booms. Not even CJ could react to booms at that range. And he got hit a bunch. So those things are sort of classic ideas to deal with somebody who has strong reactions. Okay, they like to stand at a spot and react, give them a different spot. Or they like to react to a button that looks this kind of way. Well, find another button that looks a little bit that kind of way and do it too, and block in time. Those are two classic ways to deal with this. The thing is we'll see as the set goes on, CJ doesn't need to walk up anymore, right? It doesn't need to be what he does. The overhead, right, yeah, exactly. So another classic thing about reactions is that it's not just about the sort of rote, mechanical, eye sees input, goes to brain, brain sends signal down to fingers, fingers execute. It's not just about that. It's also about keeping in your mind what the potential things you need to react to are. It's thinking about that. And so there's been a range, this range, where CJ thinks, okay, at this range, the only thing I'm really worried about is a boom, and I can EX through it. That's what I want to pay attention to. Closer in, different story. Farther away, maybe different story. At that range, that's what he's looking for. So he's really keyed in on that. But in this spot right here, the reason the overhead works... Actually, let me see if he actually got hit because he was crouching or was he just trying to move. But the reason that overheads often do work in these situations is that it's just not what the opponent's expecting. Yeah, he looks like he jumped, actually. So this might not be a case of him getting hit by the true overhead here. Did he try to jump? Nope, he just got duffed. Okay, there it was. He just got hit. Yeah, I mean, even somebody like CJ with his reactions can get hit by that stuff because he's just not paying attention to it. That's all. You got to be paying attention to stuff. So the classic term mental stack is what we use to denote this. You can only have so many things stacked up in your brain at one time. The more familiar you are with situations, the easier it is to stack. But nobody has 100%. And not even CJ here could react to this. Maybe. To me this looks like it's... Oh. Yeah, no, he got hit for sure. That's a hit. Bam! And then because it's the killing blow, he gets popped up. That's all. Come on, VLC. Okay. So that game, we did see some things that NuckleDu can do instead. But like I said, it is up to Guile to some degree to throw booms at the right spot. But it's also up to the opponent as far as where they stand. And it's hard for Guile to move forward and then throw a boom. He can do it, but that's something that you have to really plan for.
It's funny how human reactions work sometimes. You can be so strong when you know what could be coming, when you have a great expectation of what could be coming. We've seen CJ get through booms a bunch of times with the CX drill. Literally has fantastic reactions. But then when you just don't expect something.
Oh yeah, okay, I talked about it on commentary too.
That's how it works. And the overhead worked there, even though it's definitely reactable. If you're keyed in on it, he just wasn't.
It's mental stack. You put the mental
Yep, we're talking about it now for sure. So now there's this range here. Guile with a little crouch walk. I love it. He's throwing a lot of booms. He's not at all worried about EX. Now there's an EX, and he immediately continues to throw. Oh, I should watch. I really think this is the strategy by Du, to just give CJ that moment. Make it so that there's no super to contend with. Make it so that there's, you know, if there's going to be an EX, it's like right away, and then he can just go back to throwing booms and feeling more comfortable. CJ did back off to that spot. Yep, backs off. These timings on booms are fantastic by NuckleDu. It's not like NuckleDu gets busted in this.
NuckleDu's not gonna know what to do, whether to throw a boom, whether to walk in. Gotta play with your spacing.
He's throwing booms at this range for sure. I really think he's just trying to make that EX get spent. Now that there's drills with V-Trigger, it's going to be a different story though. Yeah, so this is certainly within that range. As soon as he got to that range, he baited with the stand strong.
follow up though. That meter all the way through. Back throw once a position. And like that max.
No, yeah, I remember this. It's pretty fast on activation. Let me actually look it up, because each V-Trigger has a different recovery time on it. What do we got here? V-Trigger 1. 8 frames of recovery is actually among the more in the game. Some characters have just a couple. So there's a range here where if Du had done this a little bit earlier, let's see.
Back throw once a position.
If he did it here, maybe, that's pretty hard to react in that instance. But once he does activate, he then has 8 more frames to recover, and he just doesn't have them here. Just doesn't have enough time. So yeah, he still gets hit in that stance.
Not in time, surely. Yep. No, that was. I like the idea. The idea is solid.
No, I think we all misread that. Just before going back into this, I think we all just misread what NuckleDu said online. I went back and looked at his tweet. So he got into a bad car accident a couple of months ago, and afterward put up a tweet that I think I certainly read, and I think many of us read, to mean that he was retiring, and even to imply that there was some physical reason behind that. I didn't talk with him about it, but I think many of us assumed that it was like, you know, he had to recover physically. But if you read the tweet, I think that we just read too much into it, and it really looks more in retrospect like it's like, I'm gonna take a break. So, you know, if you go back and look at it, I think that's probably the better way to read it, especially now knowing that he is playing in this. In any case, you know, wish the guy best of luck. I hope that he is feeling good. The V skill, right? Who brings that out? It is projectile and vol after some startup. So now there's only one EX bar. That was probably supposed to have been flash kick.
Instead of flash kick, surely.
And here immediately spends it. And not only that, okay, well, it doesn't take the grab that time, but he did get out of the corner. So we'll go back and see it, but I'm not sure that was actually a bad idea. That said, now he cannot do it for sure. He'll just die if he throws a boom. So now we see that moment of NuckleDu trying to walk forward into a range where it's too close in for CJ to react. But CJ can just walk backwards, and he has all the stage to deal with. He still has a lot of room.
You don't do that. David, you don't do that.
And there you go. So I really, really like the understanding by CJ that he knew he was threatening with the EX drill through, for sure. But yeah, let's go back and look at this EX drill here. Take another look at it. I think it's maybe here. Let's bring out our handy dandy measuring stick. Yeah, it was at exactly that spot yet again. That said, this means that there's not an EX bar. This means that NuckleDu's out of the corner. It's not, I could see it not being a bad idea, and he has thrown so many booms when CJ has had only one EX bar that it just doesn't seem like a coincidence to me. I'd love to know if it was his strategy or not, but that's my guess. So if he didn't take this damage right here, you know, he then, I guess, tries to tech a throw or interrupt or something, and whatever it was got hit. But for that, he's not actually down that badly in life. He has a cornered Cammy. You know, he's not in that bad of a spot. But he does take this extra damage. And he does get knocked down again. And he does get back thrown. And so now that ends up being pretty tough because as we have established, clearly CJ can react to this. He's done it so many times. I should have been counting. I think it's like 7 or 8 times so far in just 3 games. So what do you do against somebody at this stage of the game? As Guile, maybe there's a few things you do. Maybe you play with your spacing. Okay, fine. At this spot on screen, CJ can react. What if I move in, right? Well, CJ is like, okay, I don't want to be there. I want to be where I can react. He then moves backwards. Okay, forward. CJ harasses slightly, backwards again, back to this spot. So CJ is putting himself very consistently at this excellent spot. He's so fundamentally sound. He knows exactly what to look for. He knows that if he finds the X drill here, that's going to be it. And so he does that. Maybe as NuckleDu instead, you could back off, but the same issue still applies. What if he tries to backwards dash here? CJ can just walk forward, right? So CJ can put himself in that spot on screen against somebody with the reactions of CJ. This is about as close to a checkmate situation as can be in a game that doesn't have chip kills except by super. I mean, this is a very hard comeback at this point.
You don't do that. David, you don't do that.
Very hard comeback that would have been for NuckleDu versus CJ Truth. So CJ's reactions really had a huge impact on this match. The reason I'm already talking about it in the past tense is that now NuckleDu doesn't like it, right? I'm fast forwarding through all this, as you could see. Because he goes to Cammy. He goes to Cammy here. He was uncomfortable enough with Guile that the character that he picked versus CJ in winner's side and lost with, and the character that he picked versus Cammy against Danslip and won with, and the character that he picked versus CJ in the first few games of this match, he just didn't feel confident enough anymore versus a player with reactions like that. Amazing. I mean, honestly, like amazing from CJ to enforce that kind of change on a player of NuckleDu's caliber. Even online. We're playing Street Fighter V on the internet, okay? It's not the worst game out there when it comes to online play, but man, it is not the best. And yet CJ still is very consistently able to react. Amazing. So, okay, you know, if you're due, maybe you think, well, look, I can't play this reactions game. I can't bait him. I need to throw booms at some point. I'm gonna pick a character that doesn't need to throw booms. You know, I think that's the idea behind this.
Go with the pick to the mirror. He's gonna try all the way with it. See if he can do it. CJ True. With the 2, with the 1. Oh man, I don't know.
So instead, look, I mean, he has a fantastic Cammy. We're just gonna kind of watch this through. I don't know that we need to spend too much time analyzing it because the reactions are not quite as important here. Du has one of the best Cammys in the US as well. It's not just that he has probably the best Guile. He's certainly one of the best Cammys. He's one of the best Mikas. He's one of the best Gs. He's just a super good player. So he has the luxury of giving his opponents different looks.
Yeah, you can count on Dude
Yeah, online, CJ does lose a couple of frames of ability to react. And at that kind of razor-thin margin, some of those booms he got through, that EX boom that he got through, that is so right on the margins that it's so hard to even block those things offline at that range. And he online did EX drill through, so it's just amazing. That was our guess too. On live commentary, we thought that it might have been Mika instead. I've seen him play Mika in the past versus Cammy. The thing too about NuckleDu is that he doesn't just pick characters based on the character matchup. He picks them based on the player matchup. Maybe more than almost anybody. He picks them based on player matchup. He knows some people are uncomfortable dealing with characters, others are more comfortable. And I feel like these guys have played probably enough that he knows whether CJ is more susceptible to a Mika pick or a Cammy pick. Yeah, that was for sure an error.
You gotta think so. Maybe they should have been drill first or DP first.
Just wanted a different combo, I'm sure. But you can see, I mean, his Cammy's doing great. He's got great footsies. He's got great pressure. He's hit confirmed even single hits a couple of times so far. He obviously knows what Cammy can do.
Oh, nice before the pressure started up. It was so close. And his own reaction? How many times have we seen CJ react?
Yeah, light super definitely would have comboed there, but you could also have done crouching medium kick into DP into super. It could have been any number of things that he screwed up on there. Not really sure. But regardless, obviously it was a mistake.
This is NuckleDu's one chance to make Capcom Cup, where he has won in the past.
And you can really see how this is different in terms of reactions. Yeah, there was a moment at the end of that last round where CJ did react. He had his DP, but there are clearly fewer situations here where the reactions are as relevant. Right, there's not a range where you can easily get through what Cammy wants to do. She's just pressing these fast buttons. And you just can't do a drill. Not even CJ can do a drill at range against medium kick, you know. You're just not going to happen. So I think the pick makes sense, and it may not even be a character matchup thing. I'm not sure Cammy versus Guile is bad for Guile. But man, the way CJ Truth plays versus Guile is just out of this world. His reactions. Yeah, I mean, it's super tough.
And you can't do anything wild because CJ's just gonna react.
And yeah, this felt like, wow. First of all, that was medium punch? I gotta go back and look at that. Yeah, I don't know what that was about. Obviously not great. Let's go back and look. What was this, medium punch to start that off? That was incredible.
And you can't do anything wild because CJ's just gonna react. It feels like the options are
that was ridiculous, what?
like the
Are you serious? What footsies? Come on. So then what happens here at the end? I don't know. I mean, did he get rollbacked on? I really don't know. Like, did he think that there was something here to react to? It could be, you know, it could be that what he thought was that CJ had pressed a button during the reaction, during the activation, I should say, that maybe Du could get through. I just don't know. Could be that he got an input error, maybe. Maybe this was just supposed to be like walk forward, crouching medium kick, or, you know, maybe he crouched and then tried to do walk up stand medium kick or something. Who knows? Obviously not what he wanted. So that sucks. But I think this really gives you a sense for how difficult it can be when you're playing against somebody who has the kind of reactions, and not just reactions. Again, this is not purely a reaction test. To go online and try one of those reaction tests where it's just you have to press mouse button or whatever on reaction to the screen turning a different color. It's not what this is. It's CJ putting himself at a spot on screen, a very specific spot on screen, looking for a very specific thing, and then having also the physical reactions to do it. It's the confluence of factors here. And that was so strong versus Guile that it actually made NuckleDu not play Guile anymore. I mean, that's amazing. Shout out to CJ. I thought that was some of the best reactive stuff. And even versus a player like Du, who has played versus CJ in the past, knows what he's capable of. And I think that the idea by Du, if this is what he was doing, to throw out boom and bait the EX to get through, to just sort of make CJ use an EX and then not be too worried about the follow-up in most instances. I think that makes sense. I mean, there's some merit there. It's just that it happened too much. And there were situations where Du needed to make the comeback, and just, if you can't throw booms as Guile, I mean, that's going to be real hard to do. It is. So good work to CJ. You know, he then moves on into loser's side. But, it sounds like I'm getting my ear that we got to go back down to the field. Let's send it back to David, what do you got down for me, David, down there? Hey, what's up, man? Thanks a lot. Nice call up there, David. Yeah, it turns out that producers are saying we got to take a short break. Somebody really has to pee, it turns out. Not sure which member of the production team it is here. There's a lot of us involved, but somebody's really got to do it. So we're going to take a short break, and we'll be back with more Monday Morning Quarters back in just a little bit. Whew, okay, all right. Whoever that was, thanks you for your patience. They're feeling way better about things. Okay, so we are looking again at CJ Truth and his reactions and how NuckleDu tried to deal with them from the Guile perspective. And it just didn't quite work out. You know, the reactions by CJ, as David has been saying upstairs, amazing. His ability to put himself in the right spot on screen, amazing. And, you know, he forced NuckleDu off of Guile. I think David's right. That was super impressive play. But let's go back up to David, who will have more of a call coming up for you now. That's right. Thanks a lot, David. And now we're going to take a look at the final match that I wanted to highlight for today. This is going to be CJ Truth versus Shine. This was losers finals of this top 8 tournament, CPT Online NA East number 2. And Shine versus CJ had happened earlier. Shine actually won in winner's side. It was close, but he did. And during that set, just to set this up, CJ tried to use those reactions still, and he put himself at a spot on screen where he, occasionally did see that Shine's Ibuki went up and threw an air EX kunai, and CJ jumped over it and got a dive kick and got a combo out of it, and that's really tough to do as well. That requires minute reactions, and he did it. So even here, right, it's not just that you're looking for Guile type reactions against sonic booms. It's also, you know, identifying what you can use your strengths at, and that is to say for CJ in part his reactions. What can you use them against in general? What are other tools that you can sort of negate on the opponent's side with these fantastic reactions? That was one of them. I thought that was very impressive. So that's kind of setting the stage here for when they play. Let's head into the game. Okay. NA East top 8. So how does Shine deal with this? What's his solution? This is quite a good set. I recall this being close.
Immediately, both of them walking in a little bit more. Yeah, you see where Shine's playing, even not just V-skill, but actually walks up for stand short.
And, you know, you can already sort of see where Shine likes to be. He's walking in and out a lot so far. Yeah, he really did not want to be there. He had CJ block it first, which is great, but in that instance, having the whiff is clear. It's like throwing a boom in a sense. If you're a reactive player like CJ, you can definitely get through that. So Shine does not want to be there, absolutely. Right, so finding it. I mean, that's the mix-up. Now, CJ did a great job in general at blocking this stuff. In the first set, I'm not sure he got opened up by it more than once. I definitely thought there was going to be trickier stuff there. I was surprised. And those stand medium kicks are plus. So now, look, in part because of a EXDP on CJ's side, is a big life lead on Shine, who's very defensively blocking it out. Wow. In fact, I even knew that from the past, as you could hear. That was wild. It's kind of these funky in and outs here for Shine, I would say, is sort of the biggest thing I'm looking at here. Okay, so there was the release. CJ wasn't looking for it that time. It's also been a little lucky on Shine's side that he has been hit by Stand Strongs and is just outside of range for crouching medium kick. That's happened a couple of times. And that'd be pretty tough for me to believe that that's happening on purpose. That'd be amazing, if so. And there are clearly fewer things for CJ to react to. Like, he did show that he has reactions to V-Skill. You already know Shine doesn't want to do that anyway. Make it whiff. He definitely just wants to connect. Weird. Why did that work? I gotta go back and look at that after this. And it did. Okay, the wake up. So what happened? This is Jeep. So, okay, I guess CJ thought that was a grab attempt, this little walk up, right? He whiffs grab, it looks like? Yeah, he did. Okay, so he just misidentified. Wow, that's pretty rare. And then the read. Now, that did cost him a lot of damage in that first round, but he was still confident to do it in that second. Really good back and forth. And look at, again, this kind of in and out sort of play. I love the step back with that V-Skill. Yeah, they have nerfed it a couple of times in terms of how it pulls her hurt box back, but it's still good. It's, yeah, not as useful, but it's still useful. Super rare to see the lack of DP. I think that might be, is that the first jump I should have been counting versus NuckleDu, but he almost never let jumps get away. Almost never. Even versus Guile, who you're more focused on booms against, he was still really legit on that. Again, no anti-air. Nice. And the bait. So one thing that Shine is doing, knowing that CJ has these fantastic reactions, one thing that Shine is doing is just not giving his opponent many situations to even react to. His character in general doesn't really have as many opportunities to do that, but he's, you know, only whiffed, what, one V-Skill, and that got immediately drill punished. So in general, he's not even playing that style. He's playing this kind of walk away, in and out sort of situation. I am a little bit surprised, because I was expressing, that these jumps that he did were not anti-aired. Now, she can change her jump arc, right? She has, if she has kunais, she can change the jump arc up there a little bit. Maybe that's part of what was going on here, was CJ just expecting something different. And again, even if you have fantastic reactions like CJ's, if you're expecting something and it's not what comes, it's going to be pretty tough to react to the other side. Yeah, again, yeah, not anti-air. You know, that could be. That absolutely could be. Yeah, I don't want to undersell the importance of netcode in this as well, for sure. When it was CJ versus NuckleDu, those are two Central Florida players. They don't live too far away from each other. And so maybe the online's better. Very well could be. This now is Shine in New York versus CJ in Central Florida. So that's a few thousand miles away. What, a couple thousand actually, maybe? Something like that. Pretty far. Could be. Again, that in and out sort of style on Shine's side, giving so few opportunities for CJ to easily react. And by the way, he has fantastic spacing. Shine throughout this set, and really throughout the top 8. I mean, I guess he had some errors versus Smug at the very end, but other than that, he was super precise with where he was. His V-skills were legit the whole time. He spaced things super well in general. And I think this was actually the only time we saw that get punished. Back strong is 4 frames. It's a -4 move in this season. The V trigger activation. Yeah, nice.
Also V trigger, and here's the confirmed DP right after. I feel like they could start that kind of thing. Also, it's really nice.
Again, just spacing it out exactly right. Again, the little in and out style, and that's really hard to react to. It's as much about reads as it is about reactions in terms of how to deal with the style that Shine's using. Because you got to guess when the opponent's going to walk in, when they're going to dash in. Yeah, you know, you have to be able to react to that as well. But it's not just about that. It's also about expecting certain moments. And Shine has done a super good job at not picking those moments. At picking unusual moments, I should say. Wow, what a challenge. Yeah. So there, you know, this match is giving way fewer opportunities for easy reactions. The Guile boom is such a clear mark for using reactions against. And this matchup just doesn't have as many clear opportunities. But as I said, in addition to that, the first time that they played in winner's side, there were a few situations in which Shine did jump EX kunai, and CJ reacted to it, seemingly reacted to it, with dive kick. With jump over dive kick. And so we've only seen, what, one EX air kunai so far? I think it's been very, very low. Hasn't done it almost at all. That was ridiculous. Like, what a chase. I mean, come on. Well, come on. And then after that block, it's really just a lot of control by CJ. Yeah, super sick. This chase down was amazing. So great pressure in the corner. Right? That orange bar slowly getting there. Then the DP. Now most people just want to get away, and she does not get true pressure afterward. She does not get true pressure after a DP in this situation. So yeah, Shine can, in his mind, just jump back, right? Maybe versus many people, but not versus CJ Truth, who not only, again, it's not only a case of him reacting, it's him putting himself in the right spot where he can react. I bet you that if Shine had not jumped back, there'd be no DP at the end of that. It just would have been EX Hooligan. It just would have been the dive kick, you know, and CJ's waiting then to react, to see you in the sky, and he did. So even here in this matchup, CJ's finding ways to bring his reactions into play. Yeah, the dive kicks in the corner. Yeah, some of them were probably 0, maybe even slightly minus. Some of them seemed like they might have been pretty high up. And he did get punished for that a couple of times in this match. Ah, expecting the cross up. That was cool. The huge samurai hat. Ah, so he has his own reactions too. That's just not as often that that's come up, but still has it. So CJ then trying to bait, right? Just like we saw from NuckleDu's Guile, trying to bait the opponent into doing some ill-advised reaction. All right, I have to go back and look at that EX as well. Fantastic set of mix-ups here. So this is such a strong round. Okay, so we'll go back slightly. This wasn't even a long one, was it? So hold on. Okay, so we see a jump on Shine's side. Yeah, ready with the DP. We see a jump. I wonder if that dive kick was supposed to have been on reaction to EX kunai. I'm just not sure. Maybe not. Hard to tell. Because there was a jump just before. Well, maybe not. I'm just trying to find the right moment. So that spot right here is Shine doing EX for the first time in quite a while, area EX kunai. This is at a spot where not even CJ can get up into the sky fast enough to jump. But did he try to jump? I think that's what this was. It looked kind of like it to me. He was standing up. Maybe that was pre-jump frames. But not quite in time. So like I said before when they played in the winner's side, sometimes Shine did do jump EX kunai and CJ jumped over it, did his dive kick, got a combo. This time Shine did that from close. So maybe the analog here is when Guile throws a boom from within. Do I still have this loaded? Yes. From within this range, which is not really reactable, right? So maybe that's the idea there, is to just be at a certain spot. What? Who hates Shine? He's such a nice guy. Shine's great. Super cool dude. Man, he has nailed that spot. Yeah. But I do think that Shine got away with that a few times afterward. And a big part of this really is Shine calling when it seems like CJ is going to move in slightly. God, his own reactions are good. I mean, we've always obviously been talking about CJ and his reactions because they're really the star of the show in some ways, but Shine also has great reactions himself. No confirm, right? Crouching medium kick could have been into V-trigger too. The dash twice, wow. And no confirm there. Yeah, you guys might be right that maybe the online is not the best. Hard to say. I didn't see either player really talk about it, so it's, might be, might not be. Dang. Okay, so the second time that I think in this set Shine has missed that spacing on V-skill, it's been punished 2 times. One by drill, one by crouching medium kick drill. It's really just that Shine has been so good at making sure that they don't whiff. This was crazy. Super smart. Yeah, I love this escape. How many seconds did he spend? So he gets knocked down here, CJ does, right? Right? He actually wasted 4 seconds. So good. So he does not quick rise, just to spend a little bit more time. Gets out of there. Hard for anybody to punish that. Especially, she has no kunais at that point, right? She just used them to get in. So really, really smart choice by Shine. Sorry, by CJ. Again, that range, maybe a little closer in where jump EX kunai is not something that CJ reacts to. Yeah, this is a great set. And Shine's matches were like that, I feel like, all tournament. Dude, that was like precise. We talk about how much damage that did. That was like he had. What's the damage on this? These are usually like 120 or 40. What do we got? 150 actually on her back throw. Okay. So that, I mean, she has 150 life. Like, look at this. Exact. I feel like that's just exact. Wow. Nope. Again, spacing that super precisely. And that to me is like, yeah, again, 3 times he's whiffed it in this whole set, and CJ has every single time whiff punished it. So those reactions are still there. Yeah, right, the dash, we'll talk about that shortly. That I think really largely about just, again, what can you keep in your mental stack? What are you paying attention to? Shine with a great read on it. So he's had jump roundhouses a couple of times, right? Here's the other side of it, right? Jump EX kunai. And if CJ pressed forward, beautiful, to try to input the first part of Dragon Punch, he may have walked into it. All right, so let's go back and check this out. This is about here, right? So whiff punish, it's happened 100% on every single whiffed V-skill. Cannot whiff those. This dash, I loved it. This is the overhead from Guile, right? Remember that? Everybody was like, why did CJ Truth get hit by that overhead? It's because it just wasn't in his mental stack. He just wasn't paying attention to it. Who thinks about it, right? That's all. In that moment, is it the right thing to even consider? Do you remember all the options? Are you paying attention to all the options? In this moment, where Shine has, this is the 5th game now, has walked in and walked out almost constantly, has jumped just a small handful of times, doesn't have access to EX Kunai here from the air. So CJ is maybe paying attention to jump, is maybe paying attention to a regular dash, is maybe paying attention to, you know, V-skill range. And he's just not paying attention to this. Is it here? Yeah, he's just not paying attention to this. Right? And by the time he does, he is maybe literally 1 frame too late. Maybe 2. I mean, you can see the startup was probably crouching jab here. And he gets counter hit. So Shine's call in this instance was to do something off the wall. And it's similar to, again, why we talked about how Danslip makes Hooligan work, he makes V-skill work, because you just don't expect those things. And so you're not paying attention, and you don't react in time. It's the same exact thing here. Even still, CJ's only a frame away from getting his own crouching jab. So even this was on the margins. But I love that from Shine because it's the first time that he's done it. He steals some space. He gets in there on time. So this is another classic way to deal with reactions players. Nobody can pay attention to every single thing. And so you give them weird looks, and then they have to, as great as reactions they have, and again, maybe he's literally 1 frame off from actually getting his crouching jab out in time, but that may be enough. So this EX here, it's already hit. Okay, so EX, right, so jump roundhouse, right? Maybe that's what CJ is looking for again, I don't know. Jump comes again, already EX. Is he walking forward when he gets hit? I think this is, yeah, I think this is it. So what I think this is we saw CJ walk forward. So it takes a frame or two to put input every single input, right? So we saw forward, then we saw down. And in my mind, that means that a Dragon Punch is coming here. But Shine again, right on the margins of what CJ can react to, right on the margins of it, is this. This is, again, maybe just a frame or 2 away from forward, down, down forward, and the Dragon Punch. It's so close. So close. But it's enough. So Shine, giving those looks to an opponent who in general has fantastic reactions, it's just a question of how many things can you keep in mind. What's your mental stack? CJ's got a great mental stack, but he can't keep everything in mind because nobody can. Yeah, great block. I still think Ibuki's really good. I don't know why people think she's down a tier this year. I mean, she did get some nerfs. I don't want to undersell that, but I still think she's really strong. Wow, actually giving up V-meter, I'd forgotten about this. Did you see no DP? Wow, we'll have to go back and look at that. Okay, that actually might be the first time that's happened. No confirm there? Ah, okay. So CJ ends up taking the round, right? Got to kill. I don't remember. Yeah, it did. Okay. So, so the jump roundhouse again at a range where CJ, man, that one time when he did try to, did he try it here? I was just about to talk about this. EX kunai? Air EX kunai, right? Jump, okay. CJ blocks. Oh, I just misunderstood it. My bad. I thought that was a hit. Oh, another great thing that we're seeing that we're seeing Shine do here. Something I haven't talked quite about it yet. So if you are fantastic at reactions, you can hit confirm crouching medium kick by itself for Cammy. A couple other characters too, right? You see that by Karen, you see that by Abigail. There's a few characters who can do that. Ken. Cammy's is not easy, but somebody like CJ can definitely do it, especially offline. Online's gonna be tougher anyway, but what you see Shine doing here is another classic thing to deal with players who have excellent reactions. So what people who have great reactions do in hit confirming a crouching medium kick is not just that it is a hit. They're not just looking at the hit itself. They're looking for context. And so if they see that your character is crouching, right, here's obviously a crouch block. If they see this beforehand, right, he's just harassing here. Okay, now he sees the stand block. Here's the crouching block though, right? So then he sees Shine go for crouch block. Then he sees Shine stand up, then crouch, then stand, then crouch. The reason that Shine does this, let me play it so it's not all fragmented there. Stand, crouch, stand, crouch, stand, crouch, stand, crouch, crouch. The reason is that you don't want the opponent to easily know whether you're standing up or not. If they know that you're just the kind of player who walks back, then they're gonna have a much more confident time doing crouching medium kick confirms, because they're not gonna have to think in their mind that they have to think about you standing or crouching. If they know that you're always just standing, all they gotta do is look for the hit. If they know that you sometimes are standing or crouching, they have to add that into their brain. Maybe he's gonna be blocking here, maybe. Maybe you expect the block if you're the attacker in this situation. You're trying to just straight up react to the hit. That's pretty tough. If you can also be pretty sure that the opponent's standing, that ability to hit confirm is like slightly better, slightly easier. So a classic technique here is to do stand, crouch, stand, crouch, stand, crouch, stand, crouch. People have been doing this forever versus players with strong reactions. This is a classic technique in Street Fighter 3 Third Strike, where crouching medium kick into hit confirm is even more important. So Shine has these tools up his sleeve to deal with somebody who has great reactions. Then we did not see a DP here. There had so often been a Dragon Punch here. This is the weird command hop out. And there's nothing from CJ. He didn't even pump for it. You know, he didn't even see like a weird kind of movement that may have indicated there was supposed to be a DP. He just didn't do it. He just maybe wasn't expecting this. I don't know. All right. So CJ ends up taking this round. Super good set. Yeah, I mean, even if you're not looking for that overhead, you can definitely react to that. When you get hit by that, that's your fault. If you weren't pressing a button, because people just use that as a frame trap, basically. But if you weren't pressing a button, you get hit by that overhead, that's your fault. You screwed up. That should be something we can all do. Look at this. Look at that. Look at that pressure to close it out. Right, starting it off. So once you get pressure like this, nobody's reacting to these. You can't throw tech on reaction in Street Fighter 5. This is not Tekken or Mortal Kombat. This is, you just guess, right? And sometimes you guess wrong, and CJ guessed wrong too much. That's all. So I love that as a solution right there. Now this was very, very close. This is closer than the NuckleDu set versus CJ Truth. CJ ended up winning, he lost here, but that was also just not as close in general, right? This is a super close match, and CJ did a lot of great stuff, but I think what I want to focus on is Shine's counter reaction play. What he did to counter the reactions that we saw that were so strong from CJ when he played against NuckleDu's Guile. Shine used a few different tools. One, he used the idea of bringing in something unusual versus a reactions player. Reactions players are people who are focused in tightly on something, in general, right? And typically people are keeping more than just one thing in their mind when it comes to reaction mental stack, but they're not keeping in a ton of things, because even for players with fantastic reactions, to really dial in there, it really helps if you're just looking for one or two things at any one time. So the fact that Shine did command dash in that one instance, that was not what CJ was looking for. And CJ almost had the counter. He was a frame away, it looked like. His crouching jab was almost there, but not quite in time. And so that's one thing you can do versus reactions players. Do a weird thing. Do something that they don't expect. He also had great spacing. I mean, that's right. So we saw that do through booms at this range, and maybe that was part of his strategy, although again, I don't know, but maybe. But even, you know, regardless, he did throw booms at that range, and that was something that CJ reacted to. Well, Shine almost never did V-skill, which is a reactable thing, outside of the range where CJ had to block it or get hit by it. And the 3 times that Shine had that whiff, CJ did punish it. So it was a 100% punish rate. But Shine still did plenty of V-skills because he was confident in his spacing in those situations. So if you can make sure that you're right at the right spot on screen, and if Guile is in, you know, maybe not this range, maybe if Guile is in this range, maybe that's too close to react to with the boom. So maybe you can throw booms here, but here, no. Maybe you can throw booms here because the EX just won't reach in time. EX drill, I should say. But there's this little range here where you can't do it, at least not against CJ. And Shine just didn't do this range, his character's version of this range, right? He was always here. He was all, with the exception of 3 times in the entire set, was right here. So have fantastic spacing. That's easier said than done, but that would be pretty useful to beating people's ability to react, because there's a certain range where people just can't do it anymore. He also had the same sort of idea when it came to approaching with air EX kunai, right? There was a range, it was about here, where he would start off do air instant EX kunai. We then saw CJ press forward. We saw him press down, which are the 2 initial inputs of a Dragon Punch. And it takes some amount of frames to bring out the inputs for a Dragon Punch. I mean, I don't know exactly, a few, to do forward, down, down, forward, kick. It's not instant. And during those frames is when he got by EX air kunai. So that, then the other side of it is, okay, well, maybe CJ now is expecting that you're going to do jump air EX kunai, and because he's expecting that, he's not looking for Dragon Punch, right? So you can, again, prey on somebody who has strong reactions by giving them what they're not expecting. And if he's looking for air EX kunai, maybe you do a jump roundhouse because he's just not expecting it. Maybe you do that weird command jump thing out of the corner when CJ is not expecting it. So this is like an extra sort of layer. I mean, these are things that you do against everybody, right? You always want to have good spacing. You always want to have good mix-ups and do things that people aren't expecting. But that is extra true against players with strong reactions. And you can use their reactions against them in some ways by making them too focused on it, right? If you notice that they are too focused on paying attention to 1 or 2 things, quit doing those things. You know, take their thing that they like to do and make it so that they are only paying attention to that. That's part of why we saw some dashes forward from NuckleDu when he was playing. It's part of why we saw him back off at ranges. It's part of why we saw him press buttons sometimes rather than booms. So playing against a player who has really, really strong reactions is really hard. But there are things that you can do. And it's a really unique challenge to play against somebody who has fantastic reactions and fantastic spacing and a character who makes those things all really pay off and is a really strong character overall. And CJ just has the confluence of all of those. He's a super, super strong player overall. He makes you play so fundamentally sound because he can take away things that you like to do. He can take away booms. He can take away whiffed V-skills. So he makes you sort of barrel down. He makes you narrow down, I should say, to certain things. What he wants you to do, though, is to do the things that he can react to, and you don't need to do those things, right? Characters have more options than just the 1 or 2 things that are reactable. classic challenge. How to deal with somebody with excellent reactions is just one of those classic challenges in fighting games. It's certainly something that all of us have dealt with in the past, and different people deal with it a little bit at different ways. I mentioned that it may be that NuckleDu did booms to just cause CJ to spend his EX bar in some cases so that NuckleDu wouldn't have to worry about another EX drill for a while. Maybe he could just go back to zoning and controlling. And obviously I don't know that NuckleDu was doing that, but I do know that people do that. That is a strategy that is used against people who have strong reactions. Just let them do the thing. Just take it away, make it not actually count. It's something that Daigo has talked about doing in the past. It's something that many of us have done. I mean, I've talked with many players who've done it. I've done it myself, not in, CPT top 8, not that successfully, but that kind of strategy is a classic one. If the thing that they're doing is not going to be terribly dangerous, if it's not going to lead to a lot of damage, it's not going to lead to great pressure, whatever it is, it's not going to corner you, right? Whatever. If it costs a resource so that they can't do it very often, yeah, that's something that you can do as well. So there are these different solutions to dealing with somebody who has excellent reactions. I really enjoyed this top 8. I thought this was so good. CJ played so well. Shine played so well. Smug played so well. I thought it was great to see NuckleDu back in play. Awesome to see him up there yet again. Anyway, let's go back down to the field where David will have the sign-off. Cool, thanks a lot, David. We're back down here on the field. So I do these streams each Monday morning where we look at matches that happened over the past weekend, and if there's a Capcom Pro Tour event, then we'll look at Street Fighter. If there's a big Mortal Kombat tournament, then I'll look at Mortal Kombat. If there's a big Killer Instinct tournament, I'll do that as well. And, sometimes I'll be bringing on people to help sit with me right here to the side so that we can have maybe some dual match analysis. Thanks a lot for joining us. Appreciate it. Give us a follow. Enjoy. Have a good day, everybody.